sports are really important vehicles for relationships.
We have purpose. We have a why. We bring people together. We connect.
I feel like God is our greatest supporter and our greatest coach.
Welcome to Rabbi on the Sidelines. This is Rabbi Sherman from Sinai Temple in Los Angeles. This week, we are really in for a very special treat. These are three college students from around the country, from the University of Maryland, from Duke University, and from Washington University. They are college basketball players playing in March Madness in a tournament that most of you probably have never heard of, but after today, you're going to be very involved. It's the National Hillel Basketball Tournament. It's been going on for many years since I was a student at Columbia University, one of the first ones. We went to Princeton University. Now it brings together hundreds of students from around the country playing basketball, bringing Jews together, and really providing a higher purpose than just the ball. We are joined by Director Yakir Kanefsky. Yakir, good to see you. We are joined by Maddie Gans from Duke, and we are joined by Ilan Barnea, home in Teaneck right now, but from Washington University. Everybody, it's so great to have you, and thanks for joining Rabbi on the Sidelines. Yakir, we're going to start with you because you actually fit a couple different boxes. You're a rabbi's kid from Los Angeles, Rabbi Yosef Kanefsky of B'nai David Judea. Give a shout out to our neighbors on Pico. But you're also a student at the University of Maryland. Maybe tell us how you got involved in this National Hillel Basketball Tournament. The first time you heard about it, first time you played about it, and why you're the director of it today.
Yeah, sure. Again, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for having us all on, and thank you to Ilan and Maddie for joining as well, taking time out of your day. If I'm being totally honest, the way I originally got onto the tournament, I had to be persuaded by one of my friends a few years back who, was telling me that it's a good way to build skills and resume builder. But I will say that after experiencing my first National Hillel Basketball Tournament as a board member, I was really impacted by, just like seeing the amount of gratification on all the players' faces that we were helping, and knowing that, we put all this work and logistics into creating this really unique experience that brings together all kinds of Jews from all backgrounds all over the country. And, it's kind of felt like some type of way of really working for and living for a higher purpose. And that, that gratification has essentially, led me to continue being on board and eventually taking on this more executive role for this year. And yeah, we're very excited to see how it turns out.
So we have a Terrapin and a Blue Devil here, the Duke Blue Devils. Maddie, let's go to you. Did you know Ilan and Yakir before this? What was the connection for you to join this National Hillel Basketball Tournament, specifically during March, when usually the Blue Devils are playing deep into March, but a different type of Blue Devil playing on the Terps campus and having a beautiful Shabbos dinner?
I did not know them before this podcast, actually. I got involved with...
Wait. You didn't know them before today?
No.
Wow, this is amazing, everybody. Rabbi on the Sidelines, bringing together the Jewish community through basketball. Welcome, Maddie Gans. Tell us.
Well, I feel like that's the whole point of the Hillel Basketball Tournament, to bring Jews together. But so I just got involved because someone who works in my Hillel told me about it. She knew about it from when she was a student, and now she works at Duke's Hillel. And she knew that I played basketball, so she thought that it would be really fun if Duke brought a team and if I could kind of spearhead that and get a group together and be our captain. So that was how I got involved with Hillel Basketball Tournament, and we played last year. We won the women's bracket.
Nice.
And we're excited to come back this year.
And how many students are coming from Duke to Maryland this year?
We're bringing 8 women this year and 8 men. So
great. And Ilan,
yeah, we're expanding.
Do you know anybody on this call, or do we just find you as well, hanging out on spring break?
This is my first time formally meeting Yakir. We've spoken through WhatsApp. He's we have a mutual friend, Jack Resin.
Yes, Jack Resin from Sinai Temple, everybody. Also WashU. Jack was one of the first campers at our Sinai Temple basketball camp, so it's really coming full circle.
But it's a pleasure to meet Maddie, and that's how Jack is really how I heard about this tournament. Him and a good friend of mine, Judah, went last year representing WashU, and I have played pickup with Jack since I got to WashU, and now he's a part of the club basketball team with me, and we play together. And I just heard stories from last year, and I told them once they came back, I said, next year I'm on the team. I want to be there. And I'm just really excited to play in I think it's 2 or 3 weeks now.
So there's the play aspect and there's the pray aspect. Let me hear a little about your involvement in Jewish life on campus. Obviously, we're living in a post-October 7th world where the college campus is not an easy place to be. We get to be in our shuls, in our synagogues, and try to speak about you, but you're actually on the front lines today in a world that's a little different than when you expected when you went into college. Maybe Maddie, about Duke. What's your involvement in Jewish life at Duke, and what does that look like today? Maybe something that we don't know that can inspire us today.
So I'm a student intern at Hillel, our Jewish life at Duke. So I'm pretty involved that way, planning events for students. I help run Shabbat. So we do like a host your own Shabbat series where different students around campus get to host people for dinner. So I'm in charge of planning that. We also have a really large cohort of people who took gap years in Israel. So planning events for them and making sure that they have like a continued education on Israel and that kind of thing. So that's kind of my involvement. Duke is really fortunate in getting incredible speakers to come and speak. We had like families of the hostages and Yair Rosenberg, who's a journalist, come. We had Naftali Bennett come last year. So I feel really, really lucky to be at Duke, especially now, because we have an incredible support system. So,
and with that incredible support system, have you faced any or seen any either anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, and what does that feel like as a college student on a campus in this country today?
Definitely less than there is at other schools. There was a vigil put out on Monday for 150 days since October 7th. There were 1,200 Israeli flags put up on one of our quads. And there was a group of around 20 pro-Palestine people holding up flags and handing out flyers. But that was kind of the first incident that I had seen. I was also abroad last semester, so I wasn't really here kind of in the immediate aftermath of October 7th. But that was the first thing that I had seen on our campus. And even still, there was a larger turnout of Jewish students kind of in support. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate to be here.
And so, Yakir, you are seeing your work come to action right now, literally meeting Maddie and Elon on live TV and Rabbi on the sidelines and basketball and faith all coming together. Number one, how does it feel to realize that this is actually coming together? And two, what are your goals beyond just this ball, especially in a post-October 7th world?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we're already kind of completing our mission of meeting Jews from different places and all bonding to an extent. So that's definitely very gratifying. And, just generally our mission beyond just the basketball, this is something we've been saying kind of all year, especially since October 7th and any spikes in anti-Semitism in the country and specifically on college campuses. That I think this tournament, more than any other year, is really an opportunity to empower all these Jewish college students as they come together and, just being around people that you don't even know from different places, but who share, certain experiences and certain issues. We just really hope that people continue to make new bonds and that after this tournament, just Jewish identities of everyone will be reaffirmed to an extent.
And how many students are you expecting?
So we're going to have 400 players, but we're expecting probably another around 200 fans as well.
And how many universities are represented in those 400?
I don't know the exact numbers. I want to say around 50.
That's amazing. 50 universities of Jews around the country coming for this basketball. Elon, what are you expecting out of this tournament, and what do you hope to then bring back to a place like WashU?
I think mostly what I'm expecting out of the tournament is just community.
How about a win?
A win, of course. That's what we're going for. But I think community is a big aspect and something that I find amazing within the Jewish community, specifically in the post-October 7th world. I think that right now, I love basketball. I grew up playing basketball, and now bonding over not only basketball but shared Jewish identity in a place where there's going to be hundreds of Jewish students is just something that I'm so excited for, and I think is incredible. And in today's day and age, is just so important because it'll help me, hear experiences from students who aren't as lucky as I am having such a large Jewish community at WashU, while also hearing experiences from students similar like Maddie at Duke, who has a large Jewish community, a supportive Jewish community. And I think bonding over basketball and Judaism is just something that I value and something that is extremely important today.
And what was your experience in terms of your Jewish life growing up? Obviously, you said the Schechter School, but also when you got to college, what was the inspiration to say, I want to be a proud Jew on campus at WashU?
So for me, it was Judaism has always been part of my identity, and my parents are Israelis, and that's always been something that I've always been proud of. But I think that getting involved with Chabad and Hillel, especially in post-October 7th life, has been something that was kind of like the awakening for me again.
Interesting.
I began getting more in touch with my Jewish identity from when I was a child. I was very in touch, and then again now, and starting to just get more involved. I created an intramural basketball team. We're the Tel Aviv Maccabees,
Nice.
and we're a team of Jewish students, and we just like to play ball. And also going to Chabad and for Shabbat dinner, or going to community programs with Hillel for remembering the survivors or those lost, has just been something that has really been important to me. And that's how I think is mostly centered my Jewish identity within my campus.
And so let's talk about the sports piece for a second, because obviously the show is about sports and faith. People thought it was crazy that a rabbi would actually spend their time speaking about this, but then this is happening where Jews are being brought together from the next generation. That gives us hope, again, because of a basketball. If a basketball is not brought into play, Yakir, Maddie, and Ilan would not be on this call right now, and you'd not be meeting each other. Maybe through different circles, but not necessarily through this. What do you see as the power of sport to, number one, bring the Jewish community together, but then also build bridges outside of the community? Have you seen that on your campus or that throughout your life in sports? Maybe Maddie, start with you.
I mean, I think it's just fun involving sports. And I feel like when you bring together people of the same religion, it's normally in a religious context, but not all Jews are religious and not all Jews practice Judaism the same way. So I think bringing together people over this shared interest is a way to kind of find this commonality between all of us. And it's fun to be competitive and all of that. And you also get to support your friends. I think it's just a great way to bring together similar people who might not even share similar aspects of their Judaism in that way.
Here's my question. Are you in Sheshevskyville right now?
I am not, but I did camp out for the UNC game.
That is amazing. And I actually would love to introduce you to the announcers of that game, Dan Schulman and Jay Billis, who are one of our first guests here on Rabbi on the Sidelines. And
oh, wow.
Any connection with the athletic teams besides Hillel? For instance, is Coach Shire, who's a former Maccabi player, does he know about something like this?
We really want to get him involved. We want to have him coach one of our practices, but he's pretty busy and it overlaps with March Madness. So, and we don't need the help. We won without him. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. John Shire, Coach Shire needs the help of our Hillel tournament, but I do think it's a really important piece. I know, for instance, I don't know if Auburn's sending a team, Yakir, but Coach Bruce Pearl has been so influential in the Israel conversation, bringing his mostly African-American Christian team to the land of Israel. Just last year, Tommy Lloyd for Arizona brought his team. And in fact, Arizona's playing UCLA and USC this weekend. And we're trying to connect with him, how somebody who's not Jewish is bringing a team to Israel. What it shows the non-Jewish athletes and what it shows the Jewish community is a beautiful bridge as well. And so let's talk about I know Yakir and I have been talking about a couple months, what's the point? And then let's raise some money for something special. You're going to be raising money for Shara Negev, which is an area near the Gaza border in the Gaza envelope. Yakir, how did you connect with them? What was the inspiration for them? And what do you look also to give back after this weekend?
Yeah, so, I got to give a lot of credit to my colleague, Oriamio, for creating that connection. But essentially, we wanted to do something, given that we're a Jewish tournament that, advocates for, just Jews all over the country and Israel as well, which is obviously a big part of our Judaism. We wanted to do something that would help Israel to some degree, and especially, given that we are a sports organization, wanted to a fundraiser that would involve sports to some extent. So we found an organization in Negev that is able to deliver sports equipment to misplaced families.
Nice.
And we found that this is just a very important aspect because, I know for myself and probably anyone else that has played sports, that there is some kind of almost like transcendent element of sports that once you start playing, it kind of just like takes you out of anything you're dealing with, and you're just so in the moment, so focused on just one thing, just having fun, being competitive. And I think this is especially important for misplaced families, and especially kids who have experienced, just unimaginable traumatic events. And, the hope is that with these sports equipment that we're hopefully going to help them get, they'll at least have some type of outlet to kind of take their mind off of all the craziness and, just be kids and have a fun time.
So I'm going to ask 3 questions. I want you to think about it. We're going to start with an easier one and then get to the, I don't want to say more difficult one, but more thoughtful one. Number 1, I want everybody to go around and tell me who is your sports hero or role model that you have looked up to in your life. Number 2, is there a Jewish sports hero that you have always thought of? And number 3, we're going to do this at the end, but is there a Jewish teaching that guides something about what you're doing in the Hillel tournament? Whether it's a pasuk, whether it's a teaching from the Jewish tradition, whether it's a value. So let's start with the fun, the easier one. Your favorite athlete that you've looked up to, if you could meet them one day, who would that be? Ilan, who do you got?
I think my answers are on my wall behind me.
Michael Jordan, and who's the Thunder? Who are you going for there?
I grew up a big Thunder fan, so Russell Westbrook has been my
nice.
Little more controversial of a player to be a fan of. But Michael Jordan was my dad and his brother's idol growing up, and he imparted that onto me. And then Russell Westbrook has been my my introduction to the sport when I was growing up.
That's amazing. Well, he was very present here in Westwood, specifically with the Clippers as well. Yakir.
Yes, actually, I would say Drew Brees,
Wow.
both because I am a Saints fan, and obviously he is one of the pillars of Saints Nation, Who Dat Nation. But also, he really is someone that he's a really religious man. So he values religion, he also values family, and isn't so much about the flashy life of being an athlete. So I always admired that.
Nice. And Maddie.
I'm a strictly Duke sports fan, so I gotta say my all-time favorite is Grayson Allen, which is probably a hot take, but I think he's awesome. His win as a freshman against Wisconsin was awesome. So, and then I have to go with Shire, of course. Just the way he does support the Jewish community here while still maintaining his role as head coach of the Duke basketball team, I think is really admirable. So,
are you from North Carolina?
No, I'm from New York City.
Oh wow! So you really know your Duke history though from
diehard Duke
before
fan.
Your time.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I would say, as you see the guy behind me, Coach Jim Boeheim, who I grew up around and saw the goodness that he brought to not just the Syracuse community. Actually, I can tell you this here that one of the first days of the war, President Herzog from Israel gathered sports people, and Coach Boeheim was on that call, and he wrote to me after saying, "Thank you for educating me." And it was only happened because of the power of sports as well. How about so you mentioned Shire as the Jewish sports perhaps person. How about Yakir and Ilan? Anybody in the sports world that happens to be Jewish that uses their Jewish identity to impact the world?
I think more recently we got Deni Avdia with the Washington Wizards. He was somebody that my friends over in Israel kind of put me onto when he was coming up in Israel as a player. But then more personally, I think it has to be, for me, my uncle and my dad both played. My uncle played in Liga Lumit in Israel as well for Seton Hall for 2 years under PJ Carlissimo.
What's his name?
Asaf Barnea.
Wow, no way.
So he was playing, he growing up, it was always, I would always wear number 15 in his honor. He was on the New York Times front cover like this when they won the Big East. And so that was kind of my inspiration growing up to kind of follow in his footsteps, mimicking his highlights and playing like him.
What year was that?
That was 91.
91, the Terry DeHare years.
Yes, yes.
Oh my gosh, I was at those games. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. And Yakir.
So honestly, I think what comes to mind is Julian Edelman. Still not sure if he's like, whatever. And I think his dad is for sure Jewish. Forget if his mom is not, but regardless, I just remember seeing all these videos of him kind of sharing Jewish culture, like having like I think a Pesach Seder with some of his teammates, and I always thought that was really cool. Kind of, I feel like a lot of non-Jews have certain conceptions and stereotypes about Jews, so it's cool to see someone like Julian Edelman who is kind of sharing the other side of Judaism, the side that we see, the more joyous side, and yeah, that was very inspirational for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. His name comes up often in terms of especially the anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, and what he's doing, with the shoes and being a proud Jew on the field and, as importantly, off the field as well. How about a teaching that comes from anywhere in the Jewish tradition that also guides you both as students, as Jews, and as athletes this month? Who wants to go first? Let's start with the rabbi's son.
Yeah, no,
I always get that too. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, I wrote my college essay about that experience, so
Me too.
I've come to accept it. But I don't know if it's a specific Jewish. Well, I guess the idea that Chelek Elokim, the idea that every person is made in the image of God. I think taking that a little bit more specific route, the whole idea that a Jew is a Jew. I feel like a lot of times in communities, and unfortunately Jewish communities also, there is often agendas or politics, and things get complicated with people who are different levels of Jewish or whatever. And just going back to the idea that a Jew is a Jew, we're all made in the image of God. I think this tournament is very refreshing in the sense that we don't really care what level of Judaism you do, what you don't do. The fact that you identify as Jewish and that you want to be part of something higher, that's all that we really care about. And just seeing everyone come together, making new bonds, reuniting with old friends, and just wanting to ball up and have a fun time. Like that's really what we're going for.
Love it. Maddie?
I think a lot about Tikkun Olam, and I think that also goes with this tournament because it would be really easy to just have this tournament and all have fun and play basketball and all of that, but we still are incorporating this aspect of seeing how we can help others and like especially those in Israel right now. And so I think that's just another way that like is specific to Jews and that like kind of guides how we all live our lives. I'm just like seeing how we can give back and what we can do for our communities, not just what our community can do for us.
Love it. And Elon?
I think something that has guided me has been my connection to Israel, but specifically growing up every year and every holiday, we're saying Hashana Haba B'Yisraelim, like next year in Jerusalem. And whether or not it's actually Jerusalem or Israel, hopefully it's Jerusalem as well, has just been something that has connected me in this kind of common sense among me and my Jewish teammates and my Jewish opponents has always been like this connection that like we all wish we could be playing right now in Jerusalem together, supporting our Jewish brothers and sisters and kind of this shared aspect for love of the Holy Land and just a mutual understanding that I know that anytime I meet somebody and they say, oh, I'm Jewish, all of a sudden there's so many walls are broken down and so many understandings and connections are built without any words being said. And that's something I'm always grateful for and something that's just kind of surrounded my life since I've growing up in Schechter and among the community.
You gave me an idea. Maybe Yakir, we extend the National Hillel Basketball Tournament to Israel in the coming years and play it in next year in Jerusalem too. Two more questions. How do you scout? Tell me about this tournament. Who's looking good? Who we're going to look for, and who you're nervous about, and who you're ready to see on the court.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe I'm just saying this because Maddie is here, but I definitely could see Duke going back to back for the Tier 1 champions. But okay, I mean, well, Elon, is Yogi playing or not?
Last I heard, no.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
inside scoop here on Rabbi on the Sidelines. Who's gonna be playing on the court? It's like LeBron and the ankle last night. Wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, no, regardless, I think WashU has some talent. Look, I just hope I love YU, but I just hope there's a new school that comes up on top for the men's tier one. I will say that we have one of my fellow Maryland teams is looking pretty good. So yeah, that's some scouting I got.
And the last question: so many people are going to be there, but so many people don't know about this tournament yet. What is your message, each of you, to the students that are not involved with, number one, you don't have to love basketball to come here, right? But not involved with Hillel, not involved with Jewish life on the campus. Maybe as Zohar Aviv, who's the chief education officer of Birthright, told us a couple of weeks ago here at Sinai Temple, that we have to change what people think about as the silent minority into the vocal majority. That often we think that our quiet voices don't matter and they're being suppressed, but it's actually a silent majority that actually needs to rise up. So what's your message to your fellow Jewish students that are maybe putting their Magen David in their into their shirt, not having their mezuzah on their door, taking their kippah off their head? What is something like you all are doing? The message to them, and also the message to high school students, because I want to send this to our high school students going onto a campus as a Jew in 2024. Ilan, you want to start with you?
Well, first off, I want to say, Yakir, don't underestimate us. We got some good talent this year. But I think something I would say is that something that I had kind of awakening myself is just like, no matter how Jewish you are, whether you grew up completely secular or completely Orthodox, Hillel, Chabad, the Jewish community is always there for you. And there's just so much support and so much I didn't realize was there until I just started going to something as simple as Shabbat dinner or just sitting in the dining hall and talking with a fellow Jewish student. And that's how I built so many connections. And I started to just get involved more and more from there. Jack and I became closer, Jack Resin, through basketball, just saying, hey, let's go play pickup here. And something I would say is just embrace it. Just wear your Magen David out. I wear the State of Israel on my necklace. I wear your bring them home. Don't stop being vocal. Don't stop demanding for the rights of your people, the right to self-determination, the right to the existence of the State of Israel, and do that with other Jewish students, whether that be playing basketball, having a conversation in the dining hall, or marching on the streets. Just be proud of who you are.
Love that. Addie?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think the Jewish community is so much stronger than people realize, and if you reach out for help, like someone will always be there for you. And kind of just stop worrying what everyone that you pass on the street or in your classes is thinking about you. If you are like being proud about being Jewish, because that's who you are. Like you can't change that, so you might as well own it. So.
Beautiful. And last words from Yakir.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I do think that to some extent, people are kind of told specific things about Judaism and how you're supposed to do it as you grow up. One big awakening I had from my gap year at Oraita was that, really at the same time, while on one side there's some uniformity within Judaism and things we all supposedly should be doing, I think everyone's really got to find what they specifically gravitate to within Judaism, because Judaism is obviously a very broad, religion and subject. And I think it's really important to take time to understand your personal values, what really motivates and drives you to get out of bed every day. And I really do think that people who understand those values could relate that to some aspect of Judaism in some kind of way. And that could serve as guidance to figure out what your role could be and how you could get involved in your communities on campus.
So I want to tell you all three that over the last 151 days, the message coming back to us has been very depressing from college campuses. But for these last 30 minutes, to hear from WashU and Elon and Maddie and Duke and Yakir at Maryland, I take away a very inspiring message, knowing that I'm sitting in a shul and guiding my flock, if you wish, and Yakir, your dad, same thing in our city, and you guys in Teaneck and New York City and all around the country. But if the future is the three of you and so many more like you and the 400 students that are going to be playing and the 200 that are going to be watching and all the people that are going to be following you all, I know that we have a very, very bright future, not just for your universities, but for the American Jewish community and for the people of Israel as well. And so we are cheering on all of you. We hopefully will have a recap of the tournament in a couple of weeks. Hopefully you all are still talking by then, but really, as I say, it's beyond the ball. What you are doing is it's truly a mitzvah. It's bringing the Jewish community together. It's showing that message that this simple basketball can bring people across the aisles together as well. So we are so thrilled. I know this was a long time coming. Yakir, thank you for your leadership, has brought to you to Rabbi on the Sidelines. We're going to get this message out to Hillels, to campuses, to universities, to synagogues, to churches, to everyone, making sure that knowing that the difference that you all are making. It's so wonderful to have you guys on Rabbi on the Sidelines, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day and enjoy March Madness.